I believe that you will do the best for you. And I believe that we have the power, have the power. I hate the state, and I know I'm a slave. We can make the break the power, break the power. Libertarians Podcast, episode 17. I'm here today with quote unquote Roland. What's your real name? How do we say your real name? Roland claims it's impossible for Americans to say his real name, but how do we say your real name? Show us.
My real name is pronounced Henrik Roland Jørgensen, which is
Jørgensen. Okay, I fucked it up. Whatever.
As I always say, you can't pronounce my name, so don't even try it, because you will fuck it up, and there's no reason to fuck up somebody's name. So I found an easier name for people. Okay. So I shortened Henrik, which is the Danish equivalent of Henry, to H, and then Roland, which everybody can pronounce. Just kept it there, and then shortened Jørgensen or Jorgensen to J, and that's the easy way to do it.
So, okay, so H Roland, and would you like me to call you H or just refer to you as Roland?
Roland is easier.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Okay, so you've submitted a couple articles to punkrocklibertarians.com now, and I mean I think this is totally awesome. You know, I think your writing was just spectacular. And the thing that makes it twice as cool is the fact that I think is because you're from Denmark, and it's cool to kind of see us, people from like all over the world getting into this and these ideas and just wanting more freedom in general.
Well, I think that first of all, thank you for the compliment about my writing. I think I write better than I speak, because I do have a speech impediment. And I'm Danish, so English is not really my first language. It's actually my fifth. So, but the thing is, I'm from Denmark, which is a nanny state. Everything we do is governed by the government. We can't even buy a TV without paying a license fee annually. So everything we do is governed. And it pisses me off that people outside Denmark have this apparent belief that everything is free in Denmark. And I saw this Occupy Democrats thing, this meme they had made, that everything in Denmark is perfect and stuff like that. And it's not, because nothing is free. Nothing in this world is free. And believing that just because you have a government that says, well, we give this to you for free, doesn't mean that somebody isn't paying for it. We are paying every dollar we earn to taxes. And people think we're getting anything for free.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true. And it's like, in that sense, we're all kind of slaves to government.
Well, yeah, they will consider you a slave if they ask you to vote, which is basically asking to define who's going to be your master. Is it this president or this president? It's not a question of whether or not you want to be free, because you don't have the choice of not being governed. If you had that choice, I'll be all for it. Then it's okay. But as long as you only have the choice between getting kicked in the balls or kicked in the face, then I'd rather not be kicked, but that's not the option I have. I don't have the option of not being kicked. I have the option of being kicked in the head or kicked in the balls. And I would like the option of, well, please don't kick me.
So basically, so would you say that you believe that more things should be done privately without government coercion?
I think that everything should be private and voluntary. I'm not a libertarian. I'm an anarchist, and I've had this discussion with you before, and I've written about it. There's a difference between being libertarian and being an anarchist. I don't believe that anyone has the right to govern anyone else, unless that somebody actively goes to someone and says, you can lead me. Or someone says, I want to be someone's leader. I have this view on life. I want to be the leader of those who wants this kind of life. Then the individual can actively go to that someone and say, well, you can be my leader because I choose you as my leader.
Yeah.
Then government is fine. Then government is a good thing. But it's not a good thing if it's made by, well, you're born Danish, so you're one of us. You belong to us. Then you become a slave. And nobody wants to be a slave. Slavery is outlawed everywhere by law. Laws that govern morality. And if you want to be a slave, you should have that option.
So basically, to get to your ideal world, you don't think that voting could take us closer to your ideal world if there was a libertarian candidate, which, I mean, you're going to say, I mean, I think a lot of what you and I are arguing, I think, is semantics. Whereas, like, I look at it like a libertarian could either be an anarchist or a minarchist. Like, both of those groups follow under that umbrella. Voluntarists go under that umbrella too, as far as I'm concerned. And I consider myself to be a voluntarist in the way that, I think society should be as voluntary as possible. And then right now, I don't see any like anarchy switch that I could flip to go to anarchy right now. And I'm not so sure that everybody is really ready to be there right now. I think to get us there, I think we need like a lot of education, and I think, doing, having discussions like this, possibly getting people ready for it more. But like, I think somebody like, say, Gary Johnson running for, the Libertarian, as the Libertarian Party candidate, or I think, say, Ron Paul running for the Republican Party, and even in some cases, Rand Paul. Rand Paul has talked about cutting taxes in America to a 14.5% flat tax. So, and straight across the board for everybody, ending the IRS. And, that's to me, that's so much better than we've got right now. And that's putting us in the right direction. I look at it like this. If right now, okay, we'll say anarchy is over here with like total freedom, right? And we'll say right now we're over here with like a lot of government corruption and, violence and, the war machine, the war on drugs, right? We want to head towards over here where there's more freedom, right? Now, there's going to be people in between who just want a smaller government. But, I think we can just band together right now because we're all heading in the same direction. And when we get to that point where we've got a smaller government, some of us are going to want to go further. Some of us might want to stay right there, but we can have that conversation when we get to it.
Well, I'm not arguing against starting out with going more libertarian. I want to go from socialist just to a sort of European liberal country, smaller state. I want to go there first. Of course, you have to start out where you are and then move towards freedom. And that move takes time, it takes effort and stuff like that. But that doesn't change that there's a fundamental difference between libertarians and anarchists. We work towards the same goals most of the time, but when the libertarians reach their goal, anarchists want to go even further. And this is very important to keep in mind.
I think what you're describing is the difference between minarchist and anarchist.
No, the libertarian will you have a party, a political party, and that in itself is, to me, counterproductive.
Looking at two
because
different
that requires voting. And voting is, by definition, an evil. If you don't believe in democracy, and I refuse to call the representative democracy anything but crazy, if you work towards your goals using that, you're still just playing into their into their hand, which is not preferable. And I think I think libertarians are trying to work towards freedom with working with the government, but you can't work with the government towards something that they don't want to give you. And you might get a libertarian president in the United States 100 years from now. You never know, but that's not in our lifetime. And anarchism, it's proven to work on a philosophical basis. And representative democracy, or any kind of democracy, whatever you want to call it, has been shown philosophically to be oppressive to at least half the population. So if you use your vote towards your freedom, you're actually suppressing someone else. And if you use your vote, if you vote, that is a statement from you to the government that says you are allowed to rule on my behalf, because then you are a part of the representative democracy. Being a part of it also means you have to accept this, the outcome of the process, which means if you get a democratic president, you have to accept that your democratic process has made it, this is your master. By not voting, you're saying, well, fuck you, I don't want to be part of this. That's the only way you can do it, because a blank vote does not count. At least it doesn't in Denmark. There's a difference between Denmark and the United States on this point, because in Denmark they just toss out the blank votes. They don't count. And if you don't turn up, they don't count. But the thing is, and we're planning to do this at the moment, we are creating a political party that is nihilistic, which means a vote for that party means nothing happens with that seat in parliament. No ideas will come up, no votes will be cast, no nothing. It's just empty votes. And that is a statement towards the failure of democracy, rather than voting for it. Because in Denmark we have a libertarian party called Liberal Alliance. Now, liberal in Denmark means something else compared to the United States. In the United States, it's a leftist thought. In Denmark, it's a rather right-sided thought.
Like classical.
We have socialism, you don't. We have conservatives who are further right. And then we actually have a party called Right. It was called Right. It's called the Conservative People's Party today. And to the left of them, we have the party that is actually called Left. And further out, we have socialist parties of all kinds. So there's a difference between the two. But we have Liberal Alliance, which is pretty much the same, but they still believe that we should pay taxes and all that kind of stuff. And the Libertarian Party believes that you should have a military. That is not something that an anarchist can believe in. I know that was a long speech. I'm sorry.
Well, I think when we're arguing, to me, a question of semantics, because when you talk about libertarians, you're talking about, quote, big L libertarians. You're talking about the Libertarian Party, okay? I'm not a member of the Libertarian Party. I don't consider myself a, quote, big L libertarian. Like, I'm not married to any political party. And then when I talk about libertarian, I'm referring to libertarian as a small L libertarian, as in libertarian the ideology, libertarian the philosophy. And the philosophy of libertarianism carried to its purest form over here is total anarchy. So that's libertarianism carried to its purest form. But, there are some people that identify as libertarians, even small L libertarians, that are in favor of small government, minarchists. So libertarians can consist of minarchists and anarchist. You know, they're both under that same umbrella of libertarianism, small L libertarians, you know. But I think when you're talking about big L libertarians, which are minarchists. But they can still go under that same umbrella. But so to me, an anarchist is a libertarian, and to a lot of people are under the same understanding. Anarchists are libertarians. They're just like basically a sect of libertarianism, just like minarchism is a sect of libertarianism.
But that means that you don't use the word anarchist then. Then libertarians are anarchists, and then you have minarchists. So why don't we stop the libertarians with the minarchists and then say, well, if you go further out, you're actually an anarchist. Then you're no longer libertarian, because the Libertarian Party has pretty much hijacked the name libertarianism. I used to think I was a libertarian. I actually wrote a piece on that because I got to know Stefan Molyneux and Julie Borowski, and I was really disappointed. Because I have, as an anarchist, there are certain viewpoints that does not fit in with libertarianism. Libertarianism states that free market is the right way to go. It's the only way to go. And that's, they call it anarcho-capitalism. I'm an anarchist, and I don't believe in anarcho-capitalism. I think anarcho-capitalism is wrong for me as a person. I see the necessity in anarcho-capitalism, because only if you have an entirely free market can you choose what you want to regulate on a personal level. Because I can't regulate for you, for instance, but I can regulate for myself. But I don't believe that the market shouldn't be regulated by myself or whatever group I decide to join. The group I decide to join, or the pack of friends that I have, might want to regulate something for us, but we don't want to regulate it for someone else. Whereas libertarians will always say, well, the free market is the right way to go, which isn't necessarily true. But again, it is, as you say, semantics. It's pure semantics.
Yeah, I mean, well, I agree. It is pure semantics. And I don't think like we, as in you and I, can really change the semantics for everybody here today. Because when you talk about any sort of word, I don't give a fuck whatever word it is. You know, it's gonna, whether it's love or trust or libertarianism or, you know, anarchy. I mean, it's gonna mean different things to different people. You know, like there are some left anarchists or socialist anarchists who claim that anarcho-capitalism like couldn't exist, you know, whereas like it's even like I don't know, I like to refer to it, I think anarchy in a sense is free market capitalism, in that, you know, everybody has a choice, it's voluntary and consensual, and that's what capitalism is or should be, you know. But I feel like the word capitalism has been perverted by governments to mean something that it is not. Like, and everybody blames capitalism for like our problems, but you know, we don't really have capitalism going on. You know, we have government getting in the middle of it, and that's not capitalism. You know, it's.
Well, in Denmark, we have this debate all the time that, well, it's capitalism's fault. It's always capitalism. It's just because they're capitalists. Well, they always dare them to tell me, where is capitalism? Have they even seen capitalism anytime during their lifetime? No, they have not, because capitalism doesn't exist anywhere. Anything that has anything to do with the market is regulated in some way. So they can't blame capitalism, because capitalism really doesn't exist. Capitalism is just a philosophy. It doesn't exist anywhere, except on the criminal market. And that's one of the problems that we have. I can prove to you that anarchism works. I can prove to you that the free market works. But problem is, in order to do so, I have to refer to criminals, to the way they do things, in order to show you that it's actually possible to do so. By unregulating a market, you can take Christiania, which is a place we used to have here in Copenhagen. It was a free city, a free part of the city, that was occupied by hippies in the 70s. They're mostly well known for their pot market, which was completely free market. They did not have laws to regulate it. They had mutual decisions on how to regulate it, and the free market dictated those decisions. And they also had a lot of innovation. They started making bikes. We use bicycles a lot in Denmark. They started to make bikes that were three-wheeled and had some sort of compartment built onto it called the Christiania bike. And that was a huge, huge success. They made a lot of money. They had a lot of freedoms. But then the government went in and normalized Christiania. And since then, it has become a haven for criminal gangs who, before the normalization of Christiania, there wasn't any hard drugs there. The Christianites didn't want it there. But then the politicians normalized it, and now there's heroin and cocaine along with the pot. And I see that as a problem, because yes, pot can be a gateway in case you're young and stupid and someone says, well, now you tried pot a few times, how about some cocaine, just to have a little bit more fun. The reason it is so, because the Christianites did not want hard drugs in their part of the city. The reason it has changed is because of the normalization. So anytime the government regulates anything, it's wrong and it's bad, and there's always a bad fallout out of it.
I agree. Yeah. So, I mean, where do you think you're in disagreement with Big L libertarians specifically?
The Libertarian Party and people who support it. I see a problem in people like Stefan Molyneux, who advocates libertarianism, but he does it in the same way as a cult would do. I actually wrote a piece today on how state is, in my point of view, is actually a cult.
Would you say Molyneux is like the Jim Jones of libertarianism?
I have no idea who Jim Jones is.
Okay, yeah, he had the Kool-Aid and the Keds, or maybe the Keds was somebody.
Oh, that guy, Jonestown.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Stefan Molyneux wants to kill anyone.
No, he doesn't. He preaches voluntarism, and he abstains from voting. He doesn't believe in voting, so he's not a Big L libertarian.
No, but he does represent the. He uses the word libertarian a lot, and then you have girls like Julie Borowski, who's she has a lot of very, very good points, but also she's very concerned with some sort of libertarian movement lifestyle crowd, which I don't get. I don't get this whole libertarianism. Freedom in itself should not be a lifestyle. And there I have a problem with people who are Big L libertarians. Now, the Libertarian Party itself has a lot of flaws.
Freedom not a lifestyle though. Like if you're participating in the black market, or if you're participating in agorism, or if you're just buying stuff from your neighbor under the table, I mean, wouldn't that be a lifestyle?
Well, yeah, sure, but I wouldn't promote it as a lifestyle as such.
I mean, anytime you do something privately, that's kind of a libertarian lifestyle.
Again?
I'm saying anytime you. Oh, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't hear what you just said.
I'm saying anytime you do something privately, wouldn't that be a libertarian lifestyle?
Well, yeah, sure. I would call it anarchist lifestyle, but semantics. The thing is, if you look at a lot of her videos, it's about, for instance, dating tips for libertarians. which is a ridiculous thought. Then you build people up to be a kind of person as if we were goths or emos or heavy metal heads or punks or whatever. I think that's taking it in the wrong direction. Not that I have anything against Miss Borowski. She's a very good proponent of libertarianism and freedom in general. But I don't like the whole thought that we should be classified as a certain kind of person and types of persons within a subculture. Freedom as a concept should never become some sort of lifestyle or stereotype. It should just be human beings wanting to be free.
Well, I think like libertarians or quote unquote anarchists, voluntarists, all these people, I think we're all kind of like think outside the box people. So it's not very often that, you're going to find somebody that you agree with 90% of the time, so it's, I think Julie Borowski is going to appeal to a certain crowd, Chris Cantwell is going to appeal to a certain crowd, you're going to appeal to a certain crowd. I'm going to appeal to a certain crowd, and there's going to be plenty of crossovers in between with like all these people. Jeffrey Tucker's going to appeal to a certain crowd. Molyneux is going to appeal to a certain crowd. Even fucking Rand Paul is going to appeal to a certain crowd. There's all different people, and it's like I don't think anybody really has the right to define it for everybody else. I just accept that everybody's going to have like, different definitions, and in the areas where we can, and then where the areas where we do agree, let's work together and talk about how we can make things better.
That, I think, is probably the best thing I've heard in a long, long time, because that is, in my point of view, what you just said, exactly what freedom is about, and the struggle for freedom. What you just said was probably something that we should cut out and put up somewhere and tell everyone, look at this, because that is probably the best way of saying we should all be free to believe what we want to believe and accept that everybody else might have a different opinion. Now, you and I are very, very close in our points of view. Most of what we debate is semantics, but we have differences. And I think we are as close as any two libertarians will ever get.
Yeah, we're touching tips.
Yeah, I think so. That's one of the reasons I enjoy our conversations. That's one of the reasons why I love submitting articles to punk rock libertarians. Now, the first time I saw punk rock libertarians was I was fascinated by the name, because I didn't think that punk rockers could be libertarians or would have that mindset. But then again, I enjoy punk. I enjoy the whole lifestyle, but you must remember that in Denmark we used to have the autonomous people who considered themselves punks, and they were very, very socialist minded. We want everything from the state and you should give it to us right now, or we will make problems for everyone by burning down the street and stuff like that. They did that a lot a couple of years.
Yeah, but which I mean, I believe you and I probably feel is like totally fucking absurd, because there are a lot of people that are under the understanding that punk rock is a leftist thing, So, and some people believe that, and that's fine. Different people are gonna have different ideas when you speak different words, like when you speak punk rock. But to me, wasn't punk rock always about anarchy? Wasn't punk rock about doing what you want? Isn't anarchy freedom? So I think
that a lot of the old punks, Dead Kennedys, Sex Pistols, those kind of guys, they had a very leftist view on things. They were pretty much just there to bitch and moan about things they didn't understand. I've never taken them seriously for anything but their music and the feel of their music, which is a whole different thing than than what they promote, the lifestyle they promote. I've always liked the feel of it, the dirt of it, the dirtiness, the nastiness of it. I've always liked that, but I've never really followed their mindset as such.
Well, with punk rock, like it's basically, a lot of punks would agree that punk rock is supposed to be DIY. That's do it yourself. What is more DIY than libertarianism?
Oh, I don't know. I can't help you there.
Yeah, I'm saying that's a good argument for punk rockers to be libertarian.
Yeah, but you tell that to a bunch of kids who wants to dress just to be contrary to their parents, because that is usually what punk rock is about, being contrary to the establishment.
Yeah, or anti-establishment altogether. Let's not have an establishment. Let's have freedom. Let's have anarchy.
Yeah, that's one of the things.
Punk rock had a symbol. It would be the A with the circle around it, right?
Yeah, the anarchist A. Yeah, but you must understand that in Denmark, most punk rockers are actually 15, 16, 17 years old. As soon as they grow up and they conform, but everybody conforms in Denmark. That's one of the things about our government. It is, in order to live, you have to conform. Now, I've refused to conform. I haven't taken one of these free educations. I'm taught by my former employer. He taught me how to do things. I worked under one for 3 years and then under another for 3 years. I'm educated as a documentarist, producing a lot of documentary movies and stuff like that. And then I took the shift from documentaries to porn, just because, well, I needed to do something that was different. And when my father died, he left me with a lot of money, and I decided, well, fuck it. I'm going to do porn and I'm going to do board games. Board games didn't work, porn did, so I kept doing it. And I've been doing it for a long, long time. I did it as an amateur when I was doing my education. And when my father died in 2001, I kind of said, screw it, I'm just going to do porn then. And I've done it ever since as a professional. But I don't conform, and that's one of the reasons why I'm a proponent of freedom in a much more anarchistic way than your normal Dane would be. Because in Denmark, we do not question the legitimacy of the state. That is not something we question. And we don't talk about taxes.
That goes for all over the world. A lot of people don't question. There's small numbers of people that question.
Well, you don't question the state, because if you do, you question everybody else's, you feel left out. And that's one of the problems with anarchy. And then you have someone like Mr. Princip from he was Serbian, I think, who killed a duke or a king or an emperor or whatever and started World War I. They say he's an anarchist. That's why anarchism is bad. They fuck things up. No, we don't. I had this discussion a while back that you, as an anarchist, want to take away my freedom to be in a government. No, I don't. I'm not going to take anything away from you. I will happily let you live your life with whatever legal entity you want, as long as you don't force me to be part of it. And I think that's a lot more, that's very important to convey to opponents of anarchism and libertarianism, is that we don't want to take anything from you. No one is saying that you can't have what you want to have. What we're saying is you cannot force this on the rest of us. I think that's the most important message we should send out.
I totally agree with that. You know, I also I see the importance in voting, because it's like, you know, if you don't show up, you know, you could have like 10% of registered voters show up, and they would decide the candidate, and the whole 90% of people would just like stay home. You know.
Well, you actually have recently an example of this in the United States, Measure B in California. I looked into it because I was writing about it, and I realized that only 60% of the county voters turned up for the vote. So, and that's not a lot of people. That's just over half.
Not
and
at all.
Then 56% voted for Measure B, which states that the porn industry should use condoms and other things in their movies, which does not concern anyone but the porn industry. Do we agree on that?
Yeah, that's very true. It doesn't.
Which means that 34% of the electorate actually decided that the porn industry, to which they had nothing to say, should use this. That's the most clear example of representative democracy at its worst. 34% of a county, of which none have anything to do with the porn industry, makes decisions on behalf of the porn industry. That's like you and I deciding that all schoolgirls in Czechoslovakia must wear blue shoes, because we have decided that.
Yep. But at the same time, though, so would you ever consider voting yourself or not?
I do not think that I have, and this is on a principle level, I cannot, in good conscience, cast a vote that means that someone else will not be able to live their life the way they want to. With the Libertarian Party, what it works for is to bring down the government not bring it down, but limit it against the wishes of the people who wants some kind of government. And that is wrong to me. So I will never, ever vote no, ever. In case they ask, for instance, we have some EU votings in Denmark that says, do we want to be part of the euro? Do we want to be part of this? Do we want to be part of that? I will go down and vote no, because that's a yes or no question. That's not, you want to choose this one as your master or this one. What they are asking is, do you want to be part of the Eurozone or not? Then I have a good conscience to go down and say, well, no, I do not want to be part of the Eurozone. Depending on what we vote for. I don't want to vote for people, because that is legitimizing their power over me. While when they ask, do you want to be part of the EU, the Eurozone, I can go down and say, no, I don't. And I don't think anybody should. And if you want to be part of it, you have to negotiate on a personal level to be part of it. That's just me.
I don't know. I mean, and I understand that. And like, you know, I'm never going to be rude. And, you know, I respect ideologically, like the whole, you know, just principled non-voting. You know, I was there for a long time myself, where like, you know, I just wouldn't vote because I didn't believe in the fucking system, you know? And generally, it seems no matter who gets elected, they all accomplish the same shit. And the leaders are kind of more selected than elected. So why even go up and, you know, so why even show up? But, you know, and once I discovered the Libertarian Party, I thought, you know, these guys are kind of closer to, you know, the way that I think. So if they're going to take the time to run, I'll take the time to show up. And that's one avenue of going about it. And, you know, I mean, honestly, I think the coolest thing that Ron Paul could have done was run in the Republican Party. Or if he ran in the Democratic Party, that would have been cool too. Because libertarians, you know, Ron Paul was heard by a lot more people than, say, Stefan Molyneux or Julie Borowski. He was able to get a message out there. And, you know, I think he was able to bring up like a lot of issues. You know, he was talking about like legalizing heroin in a Republican debate. You know, and he made people cheer in South Carolina for that, you know? So, you know, I feel like the political route is a good way to go. And even with Ron Paul, I mean, he's a guy, he's a fellow at the Mises Institute, you know, a lot of his friends there are open anarchists, you know, I don't know. I mean, I think that's kind of putting a message out there and possibly helping everybody in a better direction.
Well, I don't know much about Ron Paul. He's an American politician, so I don't know much about him. Only what I've seen on YouTube, actually. And the thing that I really admire about him is his ability to look beyond himself, which is an ability I try actively to have. As I stated in an article that was posted on Punk Rock Libertarians, I don't want a gun, but I don't want to take the ability for somebody else to carry a gun away from them. And what I really like about Ron Paul is he's been married for an age. He's been married to the same woman for ages, but he believes that everybody has the right to be a prostitute if they want to. That's their business, not his. And that point of view, I respect. So I will always respect Ron Paul for being open-minded and not trying to impose somebody else his morals. One of the worst things a government can ever do is impose its morals upon the people.
Well, I know at least here in America, you know, I think nobody will disagree with me when I say that Ron Paul has brought more people to the ideas of libertarianism or even the ideas of anarchy than, you know, any other people, than any other person in my lifetime.
Well, he should probably have raised his son better than this Rand Paul dude. I don't really know what's up with that guy. I don't know much about American politics, I must admit. The reason I submit articles to Punk Rock Libertarians is because I live in the nanny state that some people in the United States apparently want, and I think that's my goal towards submitting articles to Punk Rock Libertarians, is that I want to warn you about where that might lead, because I live that nightmare every damn day.
Yeah, well, you know, I think the thing with Rand Paul has been very disappointing to me, like in a lot of ways, but like in a lot of, you know, Ron Paul's other son, I saw an interview recently with him, and he said the only difference between Rand and Ron, he said their difference isn't philosophically, their difference is basically like, you know, the technique as to like how they're going to get there, you know? So it's basically, you know, Rand Paul.
Like you and me.
I'm sorry?
Like you and me. That's the difference between you and me. It's not a difference of opinion. It's a difference on how we get there.
Yeah, and at the same time, you know, like I could vote for Ron Paul, and, you know, I could do that, and I could say that to anybody with good conscience. Whereas I'm not so sure I could vote for Rand Paul and with a good conscience. Like at the same time, I do like the direction that he's trying to take us. I feel like he just makes certain concessions that I don't like, but he makes those concessions to you know, stay in the race.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with politicians, is they will do anything to stay in the race. They will do anything to gain power. And the minute this is my problem with all politicians, and I don't care what kind of politician they are. Their thought is, And this is not a conscious thought. This is just the way they are. I know how other people should live their lives. That's why they should elect me. That is megalomania. That's delusions of grandeur. In normal people, that is considered something we will give you medicine for or lock you away in an insane asylum. But if you call yourself a politician, then it's okay. I don't like people who have delusions of grandeur on my behalf. You see? Again, that's my problem with the Libertarian Party.
I mean, I don't know. I think if you went to like the Libertarian Party's website and if you read their what's the word I'm thinking of?
Principles?
What was that?
Principles?
Yeah, well, essentially, but there's a word for it too. Platform. Okay, if you read their platform, you know, it'll give you like an idea of what they're about. And what I think that you'll find is, you know, you're on board with most of what they're saying. And if you want to be over here in the anarchy zone, and right now we're right here in the tyranny zone, they're going to pull us closer to the anarchy zone. That's what I'll say about the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, and that is true for America. I think that everyone who believes that the entire nation, America, the United States of America, should be pulled. If you believe as a person that your ideals also should be forced upon others, less state should be forced upon others, because for a long, long time, even if the Libertarian Party gets a president, for a long, long time, that will be oppression to those who do not believe in the monarchy, but still lives in America, because they can't have the kind of government they want. Whereas as an anarchist, what you say is, well, you can have the government you want, you just have to do it yourself. You just have to say, this is our leader, this is our properties, and they might not be interconnected territorially, but on these properties, our rules apply. They do not apply outside our properties. But if you, as a libertarian, force other people to live in a libertarian nation, as long as the state still exists, you are actually oppressing these people. And that's not a good thing. But again, it doesn't apply to me because I'm not American. So we can't really take this debate because I have no investment in that at all.
Fair enough.
I can only talk from a philosophical point of view to that, not from a practical point of view, because I have never thought of it in a practical way. Because in Denmark we have socialism, which is a very different beast. Just to start out, you know, we don't have the option of saying, well, we want to go in this direction, because 98% of the Danish population will say, well, we're not going in that direction, and if you try to go in that direction, we will fucking jail you. I've actually tried to vote to say, well, anarchy is the right way to go. I do not participate in the Danish government, so I'm just gonna stop the membership. So I wrote a letter to the government stating that apparently I have this this number and I would like that membership to stop right now. And they didn't understand what I was talking about. They actually thought I was talking about being a member of the libraries, which are quote unquote free. But you know, that's not what I was talking about. I wanted to get out of the state. I want to be stateless, which they cannot comprehend. They simply cannot comprehend this. Now, one of the things I've done with my number, whenever a person in Denmark is born, they get a number. It's comprised of your birth date in the original way, which is the day, the month, and the year. and then you have a 4-digit number after that, which either ends in what do you call this? Unequal number and an equal number. 12 is an equal number. 13 is an unequal number.
Yeah, even and odd.
Even and odd. That's right. I have, because I'm a man, an unequal number. A woman will have an equal number in this 4-digit number in the end. And they can track us in any way through that number. It's your tax number, it's your police number, it's your number if you go to the county office, if you go to the state office, wherever you go, that is your number. I actually went to the county once and said, "Hi, I'm 011075 bleep, bleep, bleep." And she just, nobody batted an eye. Nobody asked for my name, not even in the meeting afterwards. Nobody asked for my name because they already knew everything about me because of my number. That is something that I could imagine that an American would be against, being reduced to a number within the government. Within the state, you're just a number.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of are here. We have our, quote, social security numbers. You know, it's basically like, what is it, like an 11-digit number, I think.
Do you get that from birth?
I'm sorry, 9-digit number. Yeah, I believe we get that from birth.
And this number is stored in the CPR register of Social Security register. We have a central person register where everybody is registered.
Yes.
That's 1984. That is the definition of 1984, when everybody is reduced to a number. And this number, you can actually do anything with it. We had a scandal a while back where someone left a briefcase full of documents with these numbers on them. He left it somewhere outside, and someone picked it up and found out that he could actually break into everybody's bank account because we're reduced to that number. These are the things that your government will do against you. And it gets worse. I submitted an article, I think it was yesterday, about media license in Denmark. I don't know if you read it.
Not yet.
Not yet. I can tell you what it boils down to, if you want.
Okay.
Imagine that you want to, as a household, you want to own a TV, a radio, a computer, and a telephone, right? A mobile phone. You want that, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you do. Now imagine that the government tells you, you can do that. And there's actually a law in Denmark that says you must own a TV. It's not a right you have. It's something you must have in your home.
Wow, that's fucked.
Yeah, but it gets worse. In order to own an electronic device that is capable of receiving a signal from, and I kid you not, one of 6 TV stations or 8 radio stations that is owned and run by the government, you have to pay a license fee. I kid you not. In order to own an electronic device that is capable of receiving these signals, whether it be internet or radio signal or TV signal, digital or analog, doesn't matter. If it is capable of receiving any of these transmissions that they send out into the ether, you must pay this license fee. Do you know how much that license fee is?
I do not. How much is it?
$363 a year, or
wow.
2,400 and change in Danish kroners, which amounts to 200 a month, and you have to pay this biannually. If you are not registered, they will come to your home and ask you why you're not registered. And they will ask you to sign a piece of paper that says you're registered. If you say, well, I don't own any of these things, they say, well, you have to, because the law says you need to have a TV. There you go. And the license money goes to the license office, which actually it funds these DR, or Denmark's radio,
Like, you have like
TV stations and radio stations.
States?
Sorry?
Like, do you have any homeless people in Denmark?
Not a lot, no. Most homeless people in Denmark have chosen to be homeless.
Well, yeah,
because of mental illnesses.
Yeah, the same in America. So what do they do to these homeless people who don't have a home to put a TV in?
Nothing. They get their welfare check, and that's it. They put the welfare check into their bank account, and that's it. This is really weird. Now, if you have a TV in your home, for instance, I'm talking to you from a computer right now. Mm-hmm. And this is how I do things. I find a way around government. I'm talking to you from a computer right now on the internet, and I should actually be paying this license fee. Just to finish what happens to the money, it goes to Denmark's radio, uncut. So they're actually making, and I kid you not, in 2012, they made $500 million, not Danish kroners, dollars, without being on the free market. There's a reason they employ about 2,200 people to run 6 TV stations and 8 radio stations. I think you should read the article and enjoy it, because it is really ridiculous. But to get back to the homeless people, in Denmark, you're only homeless if you choose to be. You can't be homeless because if you're a Danish citizen, you have a right to something we call kontanthjælp, the welfare check, or cash help, actually, directly translated. It's cash help. You get something along the line of 10,000 Danish kroners, which is, I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, and go check. 1 Danish kroner is about, $1 is about 6 Danish kroners. So it's a little less, it's somewhere between $1,500 and $1,800 you get a month after taxes, because there's tax on your welfare check as well. And then you can get some help in case you have your place is too big for you to pay it yourself. For instance, if I went on welfare, I would get something called apartment security, which means they will pay a lot of money to make sure that I can actually pay for my apartment, because I have a very expensive apartment. These are the things that other people pay for. I find that ridiculous.
Yeah.
What I actually do every now and then, and this, I kid you not, I stop my company. I take down my company, and then I say, well, I'm going to go on welfare for a while. And then I count out how much money have I paid over the past year or so in taxes. How much have I spent during that year on health and so forth and so on? How much help have I gotten from the state? And when I've calculated that, I decide, well, then I'm going to go on welfare for just maybe 6 months, maybe more, just to get my money back.
And I don't see that there's anything wrong with that. I think that makes sense. But by going on welfare, aren't you just consenting to the system the same way you would be consenting to the system if you voted?
No, I'm actually I'm actually just taking my money back.
No, I get
want to
that.
remind you that every time I spent 1 kroner in Denmark, 20 øre, which is our cents, goes to the state.
No, I
Because
have no problem with you getting your money back. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with you getting your money back.
Good.
That's a good thing. But I mean, at the same time, aren't you're kind of consenting to the system at that point when you're sucking them on their teeth, or you're getting your own money back, there's two different ways of looking at it.
Any other Dane would say I am abusing the system. Of course they will, because they think of it as their money. One of the worst insults we can throw at anyone in Denmark is, well, you're a pensioner. We have something called pre-pensioner, which means that you're too young to become a pensioner, where the age is 65, I think, 62. That is, but we have something called pre-pensioner. A friend of mine is a pre-pensioner because his body is really ruined from working too hard, by the way. And a lot of women don't want to be part of his life because he's a pre-pensioner. And it's become even worse because now the government has said, and I kid you not when I say this, if you as an individual who's paid taxes, so forth and so on, are working, and you find a girlfriend who is also working, no problem. But if one of you ends up on welfare because you get fired, they will actually deduct money from the one working to pay for the person who is not working.
For
who's been paying taxes for a while.
For a girlfriend.
Yeah. Then if I get a girlfriend who's on welfare, I will be deducted what she gets in welfare.
How do they know? From Facebook, or how do they know?
They assume. If she moves in with me, for instance, I have a roomie right now because a friend of mine needed a place to live, and she's on welfare, and they tried to prove that she was my girlfriend. So I had them turn up here at my address to see that I am living alone and she rents a room from me. I had to prove that we weren't together as a couple.
Wow.
That's your nanny state at work. This I think we should stop about right now. Before we get too far into this, there should be for more videos like this, and in case we do a live version of this.
Yeah, I'd like to do this again.
I think we should do a live version of this, interactive with other people, statists and whatnot. I would like to say this as the last word in this conversation.
But I wanted the last word.
Okay, my last word then.
Go ahead.
You can get the last word afterwards. Okay?
Yeah, it's all good.
Perfect. Think about this. In Denmark, we have a word called statist. It's spelled exactly the same way as statist. I would like to remind everyone that that word has a double entendre in Denmark. It means movie extra. And that is what you become if you are a statist. If you believe in government, you become an extra in your own life. You have no decisions. You have no impact on the greater part of your life. Remember that the next time you go and vote, that you become a movie extra in the movie that is your life. Back to you, Matt.
Thanks, Roland. Thanks for coming on, and we'll have to do this again soon. Take it easy, guys. Live free.
Live free.
I believe that you will do the best for you. you. And I believe that we have the power, have the power.